What's up, Airsofters? Welcome to the BB Warrior, where we help you have a better time both on and off the airsofting field. And today, before we get into the topic at hand, I just want to mention that if you want to submit your questions for the 2-year anniversary video, you can leave a comment down below or send me a message on the Facebook page. But why don't we get into the meat of the video, and that is talking about helmets in Airsoft, the advantages and disadvantages of one, and when you should and should not run them. Now, there are a lot of pros that go with running Airsoft helmets, and there are a lot of things that you can do while wearing a helmet that you cannot while wearing any other system. However, there are some negatives to helmets, which we will get into in a little bit. But why don't we start the video out on a positive note and talk about the good things that you get when you run an Airsoft helmet. Now, this first one is especially important in indoor environments. It promotes safety. There's going to be less things hitting your head, especially if you're tall like me, like I'm 6'2", so I hit my ceiling a lot at indoor arenas. It's the funniest thing to watch for other people, and it makes me really sad. But it provides extra protection, especially when you're at an indoor field and the engagement distances are generally closer. This is a nice thing to have, because everything up here is a pretty tender spot, so getting shot here just kind of generally sucks. So I like wearing a helmet indoors almost all the time, just because it does provide a little bit more protection. Now, another thing about helmets which makes them a really nice thing to have is that you can mount things like nods and GoPros to them. Now, I have a Brain Exploder custom NVG mount here, which personally I really enjoy. I've done a review on it if you want to click on the banner up here in the top right corner. But I really like it. It always puts the GoPro in the same spot, and it makes really good footage. Now, the thing about wearing a helmet as opposed to wearing any other sort of headgear, because Brain Exploder does make mounts for other style headgear, is that I run a cable under my helmet cover to a battery pack in my counterweight. I don't have it on right now because I'm filming, but you get the idea. A cord goes from here to here, and that powers my GoPro for such a long time. I'm able to use with my power cord. The first day of American Milsim only took 18% of my power bank out to power my GoPro for the entire day. So wearing a helmet is really nice because you can have a battery pack on the back and it doesn't feel that uncomfortable. It does add a little bit of weight, but if you have a nice helmet like mine, I have a Dragon Red helmet for example, it can be a really viable option for those of you who are serious about recording their airsofting gameplay. The other nice thing about a helmet, when you can mount to the NVG mount, obviously besides just headgear, you can mount nods to this, which is really nice, especially in these dark indoor environments, or if you're playing night games. Now this is of course dependent on if you have the money for nods, but if you do, I believe that helmets are easily the best way to mount a night vision system. And finally, something else I just want to mention about helmets is helmets look cool. Like, a lot of kits, helmets just look really cool with, and that's more aesthetic, I know, but isn't that what Airsoft's all about, looking cool instead of being functional? Now, why don't we talk about some of the disadvantages of wearing a helmet? And the first and most apparent one I can think of is that these things get hot fast. During the summer here in upstate New York, as you can see, it's pretty cold and snowy out right now, but during the summers, it's 95 and muggy. It is awful. So running a helmet in those conditions feels pretty bad. Back before I picked up my fan goggles, it was practically impossible. I would fog every single game. But I really liked running my boonie hat this year, I should say. I ran it with a Brain Exploder mount for GoPros, and I loved running it. It felt liberating, there wasn't much weight on my head, and it was really comfortable to wear. Now, another thing is that it does shave some weight off your head when you don't wear a helmet, which is really nice again in those hot summer months. Running the boonie felt so liberating because there wasn't anything heavy on my head. I just had to worry about my boonie hat and then my goggles. That was really about it. Those are the only things that really contribute weight to my head. But I really like having the ability to run an external battery, which is something I had to live with. And now another thing that I want to mention about helmets is that they add extra bulk to your head. Think about it. When you peek around a corner, when you pie that corner, what is the first thing that goes around the corner besides your muzzle? Your face. Specifically, the sides of it. So I felt that when I turned around corners, I got shot a lot right here and right here. It felt like my arc rails were getting hit more than anything when I peeked around a corner, which is something that you can train for using better violence of action, but it's just something that I think that you should be aware of. Running a helmet, it really puts more emphasis on the sides of your face when you peek around a corner, especially if you run your helmet with a bunch of shit on it. Right now, I run it pretty bare. I just run it for my camera, but there are people who run their Comtacs on here, or they run Surefire Vampire lights, or even MPLSs like from Princeton Tech. So if you add a lot to your sides of your helmet, or even stuff on top, I've been shot in my Manta strobe a lot. That's why I got rid of it, because I was sick of kind of starting to peek up around a corner and getting shot right in the strobe. It's really a pain in the ass and something that I did not enjoy about the helmet. That's why I run it pretty bare nowadays. There's nothing on top, and there's nothing on the sides. When I run a radio, I run an in-ear earpiece, or I run a speaker mic from Code Red headsets. And one of the final things I want to talk about, a disadvantage of running an airsoft helmet, is there is quite an investment to get a good airsoft helmet. Now, this is the Dragon Red, and I love it to death, and I feel like the only real good airsoft helmets that I've had experiences with personally are Dragon Red and FMA. They make really thick shelled helmets, and when you start to go with some of the cheap ones like Lancer Tactical, 6mm Pro Shop, Bravo even, I know TMC's going to up their quality, so I won't include them yet, but when you run those low quality helmets, they just feel cheap. They feel like they can bend. These Dragon Reds have a nice frame on them. I've dropped this, I've hit my head on it numerous times. I love this helmet to death, and I trust this thing. Now, I don't trust it to take a bullet for me, because this is just a piece of plastic, but I trust this thing. If I fall, it's going to protect me somewhat. But if you buy one of the cheaper helmets, they feel like really bad bicycle helmets, honestly. The cheap plastic, it's not even like cheap like an airsoft gun plastic. It feels even cheaper than that. So just keep that in mind when you're buying an airsoft helmet. Do some research, buy a good one. I know it's kind of expensive, but buy once, cry once. If you buy something good, you're only going to complain about the price once, whereas if you buy a bad one and then you want to upgrade, you're going to have to spend your money twice, and you're going to end up spending more for a quality product. That's just something that I cannot recommend enough. Make sure when you get into buying an airsoft helmet, you buy a good weight one. Another reason why I suggest that, if you start to load it up, you're really going to feel it, because let's be honest, all airsoft helmets have really bad padding inside. I don't know if you guys can see this, but it doesn't have the best padding in there. But it can make it a little uncomfortable when you first load it up. Like when I first started running the battery pack, my neck hurt like crazy. I really had to get used to it. Now imagine doing that on one of those cheap airsoft helmets. These ones provide a little bit more structure, so they feel a little bit better on your head. If you have one of those cheap helmets that's going to be rocking around when you move, it's going to be really uncomfortable. So I'd also recommend picking up a new set of pads if you can. The Team Wendy Zap pads are excellent from what I've heard. I plan on picking up those for this Dragon Red. I plan on doing a review on them in the future, so stay tuned for that. But that's just one of the things I've noticed about airsoft helmets, is that you have to go big or else you're going to get a bad one. Anyways, that is going to do it for this video, guys. I want to know what you guys think of airsoft helmets. Make sure to let me know down in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on helmets and what you think about them. Remember, submit your questions for the 2-year anniversary video down in the comments below as well, or shoot me a message on our Facebook page. Link will be in the description below. If this was your first time here, I'd love to have you subscribe for more airsofting content every Tuesday and Friday of every week. This has been the BB Warrior, and I'll see you all next time.